Pallavi Rupanagudi is an accomplished independent legal consultant with over 13 years of invaluable experience. And she's just not a seasoned professional, but is also a certified data protection officer and IC trainer. Her expertise lies in guiding companies through the establishment of policies, rules, and guidelines, drafting employment agreements, process documents, and formulating HR policies. Pallavi plays a pivotal role in client negotiations, working closely with chartered accountants and HR departments to frame, execute, and effectively implement compliance policies and regulations. She is also a certified POSH trainer and serves as an external member for esteemed institutions such as Gartic Junior College, Start Hospital, Nomisio Private Limited in the Hyderabad region. And in addition to her legal prowess, she has also been a faculty of law in Gatwick Junior College for more than 5 years and handles subjects such as criminal law, constitutional law, contracts, and torts. She also trains juniors and senior students for CLAT. Pallavi, I really hope I haven't missed out on anything.
Thank you so much, Divya, for that wonderful introduction. I'm not sure if I'm doing really a great job, but then yes, thank you for that lovely introduction. I'm very glad to be associated and talking to you today.
Yeah, thank you so much, Pallavi. Pallavi, so to start off, I just want to understand, can you share your insights into the current state of implementation and awareness of the POSH law in Hyderabad, and how effectively are organizations adhering to these regulations in your experience?
Yes, Divya, I'm actually glad that we're able to start this conversation on a very positive note, because at least now, see, these days, I know it's been 10 years since we have this law. The efficacy of any legislation relies on its implementation, right? That's the whole objective of the legislation to be having in place. So my association has been recently with many of the startups. So when we talk about these startups or the organized sector, they are conscious of the laws in place, and more often they are more into creating a safe working environment, inclusive workplace. With that in mind, they are also insisting on following all the regulations and all the regulatory frameworks. So POSH being one of them, and retention of employees also is being a very big challenge these days. So creating a safe and inclusive workplace is a brownie point for all the organizations. So they are, I know there are certain gray areas too that we need to address. I know if we talk beyond IT force, beyond IT workforce, there are still companies or organizations or educated women also for that matter who are still oblivious of the act, or they're still unaware of an IC being placed in their companies. But yes, if we talk about the recent budding companies or mid-sized companies, they are very conscious and they are aware of the law being in place, and they are also taking steps towards working towards creating these safe and harassment-free workplaces. I know I never, we can say that no law is 100% successful. We are working
Right.
towards, but it's definitely a positive note if you ask my opinion.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Pallavi, and Telangana, I've noticed, has also taken a lead in implementing the POSH Act because there have been a lot of initiatives such as the TSHE box
Right.
and making it mandatory for companies to register their internal committees. So, how else has the government been actively involved in promoting women's safety? And are there any new initiatives that we can look forward to from the government?
Yes, yes, this is again on a positive note. We can start again on a positive note for this question too. I know there have been many women specific legislations even before 2013. We have criminal laws and various other enactments. But Telangana, what we have observed or noticed is it has laid that special emphasis on women's safety and security. So yes, apart from registering in the TSHE box or registering mandatory registration of the ICs of the organizations, if we go beyond that to create a women safe environment or a society, especially in Hyderabad, this being a metropolitan city and with so much of workforce, young generations being around, we have something called she teams. Apart from the she T box, we have something called she teams, which specifically looks into the safety and security of women. It's not just sexual harassment, it could be domestic violence, it could be any other mental health issues, it could be anything that is related to women. Any aggrieved women can approach these she teams. And we have something also called Hawkeye. There's an app
Okay.
called Hawkeye, Divya. This has been specially created or generated by the police commissioner, which has direct communication link with the police department. And I believe this has been one of its kind after Delhi. I think Hyderabad has become Telangana has become the second state, or the Hyderabad police is the second one who has introduced this. This Hawkeye has become very popular, not just to complain, register your complaints, but there is an SOS button which if you download this app on your mobile and turn it on and let the police access it, they can monitor you even if you are online. So this has become very, popular and has been widely used among these young students. And the police also has taken the initiative to approach educational institutions, bringing this awareness, educating them about this app. And also apart from this, I can also proudly say we have something called Bharosa centers. They've actually named it. This Bharosa center is like a one-stop solution. As a not just sexual harassment, be any issue, be it any issue, any problem or any grievance that the women have, they provide. Why is it called as one stop solution? Is they have this, they address legal, mental, physical, health related all kind of issues where women can go and get them addressed or resolved. At least they provide that kind of assistance. So that's one thing that is, again, they've been trying to bring it in, and bringing also a lot of awareness into the society about these centers. So these are very few things apart from, and also we also strive to bring in, the government strives to bring in that financial independence for women. They encourage women to stand out, work on their own, be it a small business or a big business, big idea. So that support has always been there. They've been encouraging them to do that.
Okay, that's actually very interesting to know. So there are a lot of women empowerment initiatives in Telangana, and I'm not very sure how many, to what extent the public is really aware of it.
True, true.
I
That
think the
also,
government is definitely doing a commendable job.
but then I think the government also has to take it to the next level where it make it where it should make it very common. Everybody should be able to know about it. That awareness is,
Right.
I think, that we are lacking in that area. But yes, there has been initiatives that have been taken by the government.
Okay, okay. Okay, Pallavi, so given your role as an external member for various institutions, what are the most common types of cases that you come across or issues related to sexual harassment? And how do you assist these organizations in resolving the cases?
Yeah, see here, there we have as you know, when we try to bring in these awareness sessions or do these training sessions with employees, we insist on understanding or explaining them about the meaning of sexual harassment as such, and try to break all the hassles and inhibitions that are surrounded around it. What I have noticed, or what I have also gathered from various colleagues of mine, is there are these he said, she said types of cases where the standard
Right.
of evidence is absolutely different from what we follow in the courts. Right? In the
Yes.
court, the evidence rule would be beyond reasonable doubt. But where
Right.
it comes to implementing or complying with the POSH policy or investigations to be conducted by the IC members, that gets difficult. That is where I think the IC members have to be trained enough to handle these issues, where we do not have any, these are very private matters. At times, we do not have any evidence to handle or probe into. So, how we address this is what most often these are the cases that we get to hear or try to address. So, where the evidence is the one, that gets the tricky part of it. The preponderance of the probabilities is what we
Right.
see, balancing it, and that's what say how we handle it. I know the IC also has similar powers like a civil court, but where in criminal courts where we say beyond reasonable doubt, that does not rule, that does not apply here, and it's difficult to also implement it here. So those are probably the tricky areas or the cases that we get to see very often.
Right, right. Pallavi, so you are also a certified data protection officer, and
Yeah.
there is so much of sensitive data involved in POSH cases. So, how do you see the intersection between data protection and preventing sexual harassment in workplace? And what strategy can you advise organizations to take so that this privacy is maintained and security of sensitive information related to harassment cases is maintained?
Right, very relevant question for this time, because we do have this new legislation that came up, and the
Right, right,
organizations are also still figuring out how to address it, because to be compliant with it, there are so many mandatory things that they need to, up their scale and bring up these committees and have the formalities in place. The organizations are still trying to figure it out, but this being a very sensitive and personal information that being shared by the parties to the committee or to the management or to the organizations, and institutions response to the incident is very important, that becomes very vital. So with the advent of these latest data protection laws that we have, it becomes all the more important and pertinent for us also to understand how to handle the information that has been collected. This becomes the personal or sensitive information. So how are we handling it? Is it a blanket statement that the whole information is confidential? Such blanket policies I don't think will work. We can't say that always share the data or always restrict the data. That won't work. It has to be a judicious decision taken by the IC depending on case to case. So they have to kind of analyze and kind of decide if what kind of information can be shared, what kind of information has to be stored, and how long it has to be stored. So this is not really clear as yet. But so for now, probably the burden lies on the IC members. They have to be trained well to handle this confidential or sensitive information. It is easy when it is a straightforward case. But if it's about an organizations which are huge and the case is also a complex one, it becomes much more challenging to handle. So that's where the you have to balance the scales and also understand the IC's role becomes very important. So there has to be a pragmatic approach in handling such sensitive data. And also, how long do you store this data? You have collected it
right.
and also submitted your final report, annual report to the department. So do you still store it even after that? But how long do you store? So the
Right.
organizations have to have a policy in place. And I can't say that you can have a generalized or a blanket policy, but it has to be a very, company specific and specific policy. And IC would play a very vital role in determining those factors.
Okay. Yes. Thank you for that, Pallavi. Pallavi, so as we conclude this insightful conversation, can you give our audience one piece of advice or takeaway, especially for organizations that are looking to create a proactive, inclusive workplace that goes beyond mere compliance with POSH regulations?
Right, yeah. As I said, the organization's response to any incident is what is vital, be it sexual harassment or any general disciplinary action or any other harassment for that matter. The law is gender specific, is not gender specific. Sorry, the law is gender neutral specific, but we also encourage organizations to make it gender specific. I know the handling of situations would be slightly different, and also the handling of evidence and calling out for evidence by the IC would also be slightly different if you make
Right.
it
Correct.
gender neutral. I do understand. But what I have noticed is, even though when we are trying to comply with the rules and formalities, you have an IC in place, but not every employee is aware of it. Not because they could be having multiple branches at multiple locations. So how do you address that? How do you bring in that awareness is where we are lagging behind. I see where even the working force, educated people, they are not aware of IC being in place. So that kind of awareness that has to be brought in is what I strongly opine. So that balance of equitable justice or bringing in that awareness and also training the IC to handle the issues, that is very important. See, it is not just about, say, at times when we hear somebody's opinion or somebody's version of the story, we have a gut feeling. So IC
Right.
can't work on gut feelings. So
Right.
it has to overcome that gut feeling tendency. Follow your gut to chase the evidence, not to conclude the case. So
Yeah.
that's what I strongly believe in and I strongly want to convey.
Right. Thank you so much, Pallavi. Thank you for sharing your insights with us. It was definitely a very enlightening session. Thank you.
Thank you, Divya. Pleasure is all mine.